welcome. Who is this? Is this Sarah Be Kind? Introduce yourself, Sarah.
Hey, hello, my name is Sarah, and I've been a vegan for probably about 4 years now, and vegetarian for 12 before, and Brian and I like to talk about vegan stuff.
Aw. Well, do you know what we're going to talk about today? I think you do.
I think that a lot of discussion about veganism revolves around, factory farmed animals, and I think one lesser creature that tends to kind of get left out of the conversation is insects. So I'd really like to talk about that if we can.
Yes, specifically
Okay.
bugs like in the household where people just tend to squish and dump any bug that they see, which I think is like
That
apart
too.
from apart from like your food choices and stuff, like I'd say like the number one way that people harm, beings, other animals on this planet is through squishing bugs. I mean, I don't even know. Like, would you like what's the average, amount of bugs that somebody goes and kills in a year? Like 30 bugs in their house. How many spiders? How many little creepy crawler kind of guys do people just take a shoe and smash? I know I did that all the time. So, um, yeah, it just seems like that's probably like directly like the number one way that most people harm animals, which is just weird to think about. I mean, I know there could be a question about like the sentience level of an ant or a spider or something. I'm not really sure exactly where that all stands, but shouldn't we just give them all the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, I suppose so. And I'm not really sure of that myself, but I will say I think that when it comes to insects or bugs in general, it's much harder because they're small. It's very easy to kill a bug. And I think that especially when, you're killing an ant or something like that, it's easy for us to kind of rationalize too. Like, I don't know, how many ants are there in the world? Is there a trillion ants in the state? There has to be
Yeah.
an incredible amount of ants. And so I think that we kind of think, oh, well, but I think that when you kind of try to look at it through the lens of an individual life and understand that, there's intrinsic value in the life of that insect regardless, it's a little bit easier to justify taking that extra step to save the ant rather than kill the ant.
Yeah, I know you've shared with me before some traumatizing traumatizing stories of people uh, hurting bugs and stuff, and you're the bug lady at work, right? Where you try to save all the
Yeah.
bugs.
So I feel like as many, many, many stories about me saving bugs. Because I think forever, just my whole life, I've always just had a little bit of a um like a like a bleeding heart for that because I mean, think about this too. I mean, so a lot of people consider a lot of different bugs ugly. I mean, in the realm of like what's human, yeah, they're pretty disformed. They have 6 legs, 8 legs. I mean, we have two and two arms. They have, a million eyes. I mean, so I think that it's easy that way to kind of look at them like a monster. But I always try to think to myself, you get one life, and like you were either lucky enough to have been born a human, which also comes with its own set of issues, or you're unlucky enough to have been born a spider who everybody hates because they were born a spider. And I don't think that ugliness is ever going to be a justification to hurt something. So that being said, the place where I work, very close to the woods. So every, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 years or something like that, there's a huge um, hatching of moths, gypsy moths. And during that time, they start out as caterpillars, and they there's hundreds of them, hundreds everywhere, all over the parking lot, all over the pavement. And it's, you can consider it debilitating, but one thing that I have to do, like I have to do is move all of caterpillars out of my way before I try to drive my car out of that parking lot. So sometimes I'm standing there for an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just moving every single caterpillar like out of my way so I can back out my car. And everyone's like, wow, this is like slightly ridiculous, but it's not to me. I look at it like this creature was born 3 days ago, has no idea where it's supposed to be. So
You do your best, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I remember moving into my house. I moved into my house right before going vegan, and I remember I squished like a spider or something in my basement, and I was like, I always regret like doing that kind of thing now, where before I would never even think about it. Um,
What made
but
you change your mind about whether you should kill an insect or something?
well, it was just through the whole veganism journey and stuff, like realizing that any animals, deserves just as much freedom to be, killed as anybody else. I mean, I know nature is violent and stuff, but like, who am I to do this? And I'm doing it just like out of malice. It's like, I don't even know what it is. It's like just blind, stupid harming somebody because I can and not even thinking anything of it. It's like at least everybody else harms beings because they have to, or they're trying to survive or their own protection. Like we're like there's no reason to kill a spider except people are scared of them. Like I don't like spiders, but I'm not going to go and just kill a spider. And even you've helped me understand that better. Where like other animals like skunks or possums or whatever, people find them creepy and disgusting and gross and get out of here and stuff. And it's like, well, you've said this to me like years ago. Like they can't help the body that they're born into. It's
Right,
pretty much how's it any different from judging somebody based on the color of their skin
right,
or some other arbitrary thing that they can't even help. And it's like, the skunk is just a skunk. They don't want to be smelly and have humans hate them, and like they didn't do anything to deserve this. And a
right,
little spider or an ant, they didn't ask to be born this tiny little creature, amongst trillions of other like beings and stuff. And I every spring now I get just a bunch of ants in my house. And I mean, this year I've saved at least like 100 and put them outside. I capture them in like this container cup thing, wait for them to kind of crawl up the side, and then run out to my porch and just drop them off. And chances are they're probably actually getting right back into my house. I should probably go like across the streets and hope that they don't come back. But it's like, why squish them? There's no reason.
I think that again, it's almost sort of tragic to me that um okay, so imagine this, like you have a human and they we do this all the time where they're terminally ill and we realize they have a year to live, and we think to ourselves, oh my goodness, like life is so precious, they have but 1 year on this earth, and let's try to make it as positive and happy and successful for them as possible. And you see people go to Disney World and meet their heroes, and sometimes they get married so that they can fulfill all of those things. It's such a finite period of time, and but we look at an ant that maybe, or any other insect, particularly, or small critters, that have a very finite lifespan in general. And for some reason, we don't think to ourselves, why am I going to make this creature's life? Why am I going to make this creature's life harder? What is the point of that? They already have probably the most difficult life that they could possibly be dealt in being an insect, which is I think that that's the last option anyone would have if they took an option. They're hated for no reason on top of it, and then to even further, expand on it, they have a very limited lifespan. So, I mean, I just don't know what would compel us to say that why was the better option in that situation not to just allow them as much freedom or as much happiness or as much life as we can offer, why don't we look at that as precious life?
Yeah, we should just, I would say, just don't interfere if you can. Like, there's a lot of times where, there's a spider and I just ignore them and then they go away and I never see them again. It's like we could just
Yeah,
do that. Or if you really need to and you're like deathly afraid or something, just have enough courage to go instead of getting the flip flop and smashing them to pieces, go and actually take the courage to go and try to get them, face your fear of spiders, go and capture them in a cup or a bowl or something, and then release them. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand about veganism. They say like, oh, the crop deaths, or if you cared about the mice, you shouldn't go and release them into the wild. Neil deGrasse Tyson would say this, right? You shouldn't put them in the wild because they'll only live a certain amount of time. And if you really care about them, you should go and protect them for all time. It's like, no, I don't want to have a house of bugs and critters. What I want to do is be against like exploiting these beings, and I just want to not interfere with them. Like the best thing I can do is put them out in nature and then let nature take its course because their life isn't mine, and they accidentally found their way in here, and maybe that's shelter for them, and I hope they find shelter somewhere else. But I'm not, I don't want to kill like a mouse or a spider, and I understand because you could get really down the rabbit hole of like killing predators and this kind of thing where like I know if I release the spider, they're possibly going to build a web and then they're going to go and capture a fly and stuff. And it's like, well, that's not what veganism is about. It's not about like being against murder and death. Yeah, we want to limit that if we can, but like it's about like not commodifying them, not exploiting the animals, not enslaving the animals. It's like that's really what it's about. It should be more about non-interference. Like that's why you could make an argument that we should go and help animals out in nature who are suffering, but then you could also say, well, they're not really, they're kind of outside of our realm of responsibility because like anytime we interfere with nature, a lot of bad things tend to happen. But even if you could guarantee that it didn't, like not necessarily an obligation of ours to have to go and fix the world's problems. We just have like the first responsibility should be just
the
stop
personal
interfering.
action.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
just go and cut out our own participation in harming animals because we can control ourselves, can't necessarily control nature or control other humans and what they do, but you can control what's happening inside your house. And if you kill like what's the estimates, 100 200 animals a year if you're not vegan, like 30 or 40 of those, I mean, and if you have multiple people in your house, it's probably like, I'm guessing it's probably like like 30 per person. I don't exactly know, but like it seems like a household could kill like 200 little critters every single year. And like, you know, nobody talks about that in the vegan community. It's always about food or entertainment and lab testing and that kind of thing. But like no one talks about all these little all these little insects and bugs and stuff that make their way into your house. And like let's just first of all not kill them and just ignore them or put them outside, help them get back out. And a lot of times all these bugs, if you don't do anything, they're going to die inside your house anyways. Because
Right.
a spider is building a little spider web in the corner of my room or something. That's they're not going to catch anything in here. Like, they got to go outside to go and survive. Otherwise, they're going to die. So like,
And I'll say this too. I mean, like there's no question that there are certain bugs or insects that can bring issues to you that you also need to solve. I mean, I don't really like to use the word, but there are certain insects that are pests. I mean, it's very difficult to live with them. Like I would have a very hard time, living with a fly in my house. I mean, it's kind of a nuisance, you know.
yeah,
I think that that's one kind of creature I would prefer to try to get outside than to, ignore. And um, I there are certain insects that can bring, disease, or there's so I wouldn't want a mosquito flying, letting a mosquito feast on me every night all night or something, and it's uncomfortable. Or bees or wasps, and like, the list goes on and on. And I don't, I think that they're,
people say that though, and they say like, "Oh, would you kill a mosquito if it was on you and stuff?" And it's like, it's been what three, 3.5 years for me. I've never. I mean, I don't go outside that much, I guess, but like, I've never had to kill a mosquito ever, and I would just move or get out of the situation instead of killing the mosquito. And if there was a mosquito in my house, I wouldn't kill the mosquito. I would capture him just like I would any other little guy and put him outside. Like, I
With
don't understand why you
keeping
even have to.
that,
But
I
I
mean,
mean, you could make an argument you're protecting yourself because they are drawing your blood and stuff. But
right.
it's like you could also just remove them. You're bigger than them. You have legs. You can go. I mean, I guess if you're outside with family events and stuff, it's like I don't even understand killing a mosquito anyways because there's just going to be another mosquito in the next second. That you're better off just getting out of the situation. There's always going to be a million mosquitoes. That's why I
Yeah,
don't
they're
want to
gonna
kill any of these
outnumber you.
ants. If I kill the ants, there's just going to be another ant to kill. Like they keep coming, so it's like I got to just keep moving them out. But like killing one ant isn't going to actually even save anything. Like it's not going to um, really affect anything. Like, oh, if I kill enough, they'll all stop. Like, well, no, there's a whole hive of them. It's like it's a never-ending process of having to take them out of my house and stuff. But like, it's something I'm willing to do because I don't want to kill these animals.
I think I mentioned to you, I felt terrible because I tried to brush a very, very tiny little bug off my leg one morning, and I inadvertently, squished it, and I, feel terrible about it. There is a level of guilt from me, but I know that I didn't intend to hurt it. I meant to remove it from my body, but I'm just trying to say I'm not suggesting people live with termites. Like I'm not suggesting people live with, you have an ant infestation and it's eating you out of house and home. I'm not saying that. I understand that there are situations that you have to preserve yourself. I'm and your home, your food, your whatever, your children, your I'm just saying I think that more often than not you run into a circumstance where it's just a little moth that finds its way into your house, and it wouldn't, it would be a true test of your kindness to just try to capture it and release it so it can live the next day. Do you notice too that there are some insects that are almost like the dogs of the insect community? Like they're acceptable. They're like, it's okay to
Such
love these types
as
of bugs. Like a ladybug. Like people think, oh, a ladybug, it's good luck. So that, or butterfly. Okay, nobody will crush a butterfly. Nobody will crush a ladybug. They just wouldn't do that. And they're beautiful and they're lucky and they're all these things. But then, a moth that is essentially just a butterfly, I mean, very, very similar creature, but it's not as colorful. People are just like, ew, they're disgusting, and they want to crush them, or they want to,
yeah. I remember
you
in
know.
early 2020, um, right when I had started the whole vegan thing, and I went hiking, and like there was this maybe two parents and a kid, like a 5-year-old, and she had a net, and she was like running around trying to chase butterflies, and it was like to anybody else, that would probably look really that's so sweet, that's so cute. Look at they're just trying to catch the butterfly. I'm like, but imagine if you were that butterfly and like there was this giant being like trying to chase you with a
You're
net,
terrorized.
and they're not gonna like kill the butterfly, but why like why do that? Like that's you're going out in nature and just saying, oh, where's a bug? I'm gonna try to go and I'm gonna get you. It's like if an alien came down and was just chasing us with nets, trying to get us just for fun, they weren't actually gonna to hurt us. Like we'd be freaking out. Like I just
Because
like
how can you
don't
ever
do that.
be certain you're not going to die? I mean,
Yeah, but nobody
um,
even sees anything wrong with that. Like they think that's a sweet thing. They bought that net for their little kid, and
they
no
sell.
one
Oh yeah,
thinks
they sell
a
kits
second
like
thought
that at
about
the
it.
dollar store. Yeah.
It's
It,
sad.
well, I totally agree. And a good point. I mean, I think that you know, just to we are constantly looking through the realm, through the scope of ourselves, and maybe we need to start looking through the eyes of the other creature involved. To kind of a um like a shocking revelation to people. But yeah, exactly. I mean, you might be looking at that child and thinking that, oh, that's adorable. She just wants to like catch a butterfly. And yes, there is something innocent about that, but what about the butterfly involved? That is probably terrorized at that point, and I don't think necessarily that terrorizing something is cute. I think it's okay to preach to your children that they can like certain bugs, but maybe they should respect their distance, like you would other wildlife.
Yeah, and I know you want to talk about your traumatizing bee story that you had many years ago. I don't know when this was, but some old guy or something was doing something.
Okay, again, like bees are just happen to be those types of bugs that people hate. They just hate, and it's a natural thing to fear bees because yes, there are people that have allergies, or it's just unpleasant to get stung in general. But the other thing that people don't realize is that 9 out of 10 times, if you are not bothering with the bee, it's not going to bother with you, even if it's flying near you. I look at it more as a curiosity, you know, instinctive thing. Like they're looking for food. It's really they're not just these flying creatures of the devil, who are trying to find a human to harass that day. It's not like that. They're innocent. Um, so that being said, I had a neighbor at that time that just particularly hated bees, and would mention it from time to time. But I unfortunately witnessed this person crush a bee to death, like with a fly swatter, like repeatedly, like very angry too, a very angry event. And I'm obviously disturbed and hurt because I didn't want that creature to die. It wasn't bothering him. It wasn't flying around him. Nothing.
He was on
And
his porch, wasn't he?
yeah, and
Like
someone
once again,
I
you're
don't maybe
outside in his
in his
area.
in its domain, correct. So you'll have to maybe one of your viewers have like a more expertise in bee activity, but another bee, a very same species, flew over to this bee that was crushed on the deck, and it was just the most heartbreaking thing because it was kind of flying around it and looking at it and inspecting it, and it yeah, if, from a very like human standpoint, it almost looked like it was trying to figure out what was wrong. And I will say this, I do know that bees have a very strong sense of community with each other, so it's very likely to me that they do that. They do look out for each other. And then unfortunately this enraged this person, and they then went and crushed that one on top of it. And I proceeded to cry for about 20 minutes because I was just like, wow, this world is so horrible and cruel. I don't understand how you could look at something that is something so tiny, has so much more compassion than you do. Use more compassion in its little antenna that you have in your whole body to witness one creature mourning the death of another, or um, you know, trying to help another, and you find it appropriate to crush it. And it's very much too anecdote about, well, I've been stung by bees. It's unpleasant. They're mean. They're all these things. And well, the bee that stung you when you were 10 is not the bee flying in front of you when you're 60.
Yeah,
So,
true.
I think
That's why, like, I'll be excited for like lab grown meat and stuff to take place and stuff. Um, but like, and that's gonna help a lot. That should hopefully help with 2 trillion marine animals and 80 billion land animals. But our work still wouldn't be done because people are still viewing animals and bugs and insects and stuff as commodities for us, and for they look at bugs as a nuisance. And it's like that's why we would still need to go and keep talking about this kind of thing, and talking about how animals deserve respect, and just the right to be left alone. Because I mean, we could go look at the stats of how many bugs are killed in households around the world. Is it is that 2 trillion right there? I don't know. But it's like,
wonder if there would be a stat. Yeah.
I've never seen anything about that. But it's like no one talks about this. No one talks about how like when I go vegan. When I went vegan, the number one way that I directly stopped harming animals was I stopped squishing them. Or if I'm walking, I try to walk on the pavement so that I don't crush a bunch of bugs in the grass and stuff. Um, I'm on my
We're
grass.
all just doing our best. That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's the goal. I mean, because you're not going to avoid 100% of it. And I don't think anybody is going to chastise somebody who walked down the street and or jogging down the street, or they're taking their dog for a walk and they accidentally crush a bug on the sidewalk, no one's going to chastise you for that. I mean, we are
Well,
giants
I mean,
in their little world.
it
It's
bothers me
not easy.
when I mow my grass, not because of the grass feeling pain, but because I know I'm getting a bunch of little crickets and flies and stuff. And I saw
The
a moth today
possibility.
that came right in front of where my mower was, and I stopped and I waited and I kind of shoot him away. And I know I probably killed, like, 200 bugs right there at least, probably. But like because I recognize that these animals, deserve, some respect. I didn't kill that little white moth guy that I, could have just easily ran over, but I stopped because I saw him there, and I'm doing the best I can, right? So
I think maybe things are changing, and it it's optimistic, sure, but so much more often now see people make TikToks or YouTube shorts or whatever the case is about this, like about why do we hate moths? I mean, they nothing wants to be hated. I mean, regardless of the conception, it's nothing wants to be hated, because I think that with hatred comes a level of danger, and these animals have a will to live too. I mean, they don't want to die, and even other creatures that are considered pests, like mice. I've seen people post videos saying,
mice
that
can be really
it's
cute. Don't mice like sing or something? You sent me a video one time of mice or rats singing. Was it singing or
laughing,
they're
I think it
oh
was.
laughing? That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah. That's
they
like I
will
didn't know
laugh
that.
if you tickle
Like,
them. Yeah.
that's funny.
And I think that, again, think about it this way. Its crime against humanity is that it was looking for a warm place to stay. Its crime is that it's looking for food. It's just such a basic need. It's not trying to hurt anybody. It's born into the wrong body in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's its crime against humanity. I mean, I just think that that's such an oversight for us, like as humans, that we feel the need to condemn something to death for something so innocent. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what veganism really is trying to get away with the whole speciesism of humanity, and like that's a huge one, that spiders or skunks or mice are just seen as disgusting vermin and stuff, and like they couldn't help it, right? So just like I couldn't help, you know, being born who I am. Like, and if you discriminate against me because of based on how I was born, then it's like screw you. You're a sucky person.
Right.
But yeah, it's already been half an hour, so maybe we should kind of wrap this baby up. But where can people find you? I know you're not like on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, but
Um, at the moment, I'm not creating a lot of content. I mean, I'll be in YouTube comments here and there, but I do have a TikTok. I talk more about philosophy, but I'm thinking about branching into vegan topics. I think that it is also related to personal philosophy, and it's the same handle I have here, Sarah Be Kind on TikTok.
nice. Okay, well, thank you for coming on, and maybe we can get you on for more tantalizing discussions of other
Hmm.
topics.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
All right.